Have you ever been deceived by someone? Or have you ever deceived someone? Let's define this word deceive. Google says it's when you cause someone to believe something that is not true, typically in order to gain some personal advantage. Now, maybe you're thinking of a time when this has happened in your life. I know I can think of multiple scenarios in just this last year where I have been deceived. Deception sucks. I've had people in my life within the church world this last year that have completely lost my trust because of their actions and their words. I have never experienced deception on this kind of level until 2021 came around. And it broke my heart. It broke me. I didn't realize it then, but it has affected me long term. I've become more cautious of people that I interact with at church. I question motives a lot more. I observe a lot closer at the way people talk to see if it matches up with how they love people the way Jesus did. I see people differently. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I hate that deception has done this to me. I've recently been on this journey to figure out how to build trust back up with people. Whether that is pastors, friends, volunteers, students. Here's the thing, I know we are broken people. I know we mess up, and I know forgiveness is what brings healing and understanding and reconciliation in relationships. Because don't get me wrong, I'm no better than anyone else. Because I know I have lied and deceived people in my life. I have broken trust with my parents. I've broken trust with friends, so I don't say this lightly. But when we experience it on the receiving end, it leaves us a little messed up. And that's what happened to me. We have all experienced deception, whether it's from small things of being lied to big things that break trust. It happens in our lives because we are broken. People are messy. We are far from perfect, and we get left picking up the pieces of ourselves that broke due to the brokenness that was done to us. But there's hope in all of this. There's hope even in brokenness, and I know that because of the story we're looking at today, the story of Jacob. Jacob chose to deceive big time, and some crappy things happened, but God didn't give up on him. That's a theme throughout the Bible. He doesn't give up on people. So let me give you a little overview of who Jacob is, and then we'll jump around and read some verses in Genesis. Jacob was the son of Isaac, who was the son of Abraham. Isaac had two sons, Esau and Jacob. Esau was the older brother and Jacob was the younger. Now, order of birth meant a lot back then. The firstborn son is meant to receive a blessing from the father because they hold more responsibility in the family. Makes sense. It was customary for a father on his deathbed to bless his firstborn son, asking God to give him abundance and blessings so that he could care for the extended family and to make his brothers come under his authority so that order would be preserved within the clan. This was the culture. And even more interesting, this was in place by God. He intended to bring order into families and for the needy to be cared for. And now what's even more interesting than that is that God repeatedly did not follow his own rule that was set in place. Isn't this hilarious? I just love it. I hate rules and order and policies, so working at a church is really fun for me to test boundaries. But I've been here a while, so I must do well and to avoid trouble, which is great. But God, to not follow his own rule is kind of humorous. I get the order he had in place because it was for those people during that time. But he had more concern for the redemption stories in people's lives over the rules he had in place. The Old Testament is full of God choosing younger sons over the older sons. Isaac over Ishmael, Jacob over Esau, Judah over his 3 older brothers, David over his 7 older brothers. I think God simply looks for the person who can best fulfill his purposes, regardless of that person's social standing. Even when God chose women in a very patriarchal society that privileged men, God didn't care about status and order and rules or policies, even if he was the one that put them in place. He's so interesting, right? This alone proves why we can never put God in a box. Okay, back to Jacob. Before we start reading, let me set up what this looks like. Isaac was getting old and blind, so he decides to get this party started and gives his blessing to Esau, who is the firstborn. So he tells him to go hunt his favorite food and then prepare it for him so they can eat and he can receive this blessing. This is how it goes. So Esau goes out to hunt. Now Rebecca comes into the story. This is mom. Mom hears this, and let me tell you, parents say they don't have favorites. It may not be true, because Rebecca favored Jacob over Esau. So Rebecca goes to Jacob and tells him, listen, you need to receive this blessing first. So go get some food. I will prepare it for you so it's just the way your father likes, and we'll trick him since he's also going blind too. Mom is crazy, right? Rebecca was part of this deception too. Just a little bit of background on her. God told her when she was pregnant that the older brother would serve the younger. But God doesn't intend his plans to be rolled out with deception and favoritism and lies. So Rebecca was at fault in this too. The deception runs deep. Jacob goes as far as covering himself in goat skin so that his skin feels hairy. Why? Because Esau was a hairy dude, and Rebecca and Jacob knew that Isaac would know it wasn't Esau if he wasn't hairy. Guys, the extremes people will go to deceive someone is pretty insane. When we get into the depths of deception, it's so easy to justify why you're doing what you're doing. And it can be so dangerous. And the story gets worse. After Jacob covers himself to make himself hairy and gets the food, he visits his dad to get this blessing. So let's pick it up in Genesis 27, 18 to 24. He went to his father and said, "My father." "Yes, my son," he answered. "Who is it?" Jacob said to his father, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you told me. Please sit up and eat some of my game so that you may give me your blessing." Isaac asked his son, "How did you find it so quickly, my son?" "The Lord your God gave me success," he replied. Then Isaac said to Jacob, "Come near so I can touch you, my son, to know whether you really are my son Esau or not." Jacob went close to his father Isaac, who touched him and said, "The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau." He did not recognize him, for his hands were hairy like those of his brother Esau, so he proceeded to bless him. "Are you really my son Esau?" he asked. "I am," he replied. This guy is relentless. Not only does he have his mom make food for him, not only does he put goat skin on him to make him feel hairy like his brother, not only does he agree to do all of this and have his mom's help, he then, in front of his father's face, lies and says, "I am Esau." This seems crazy. How can someone have so little integrity to get what they want? So Isaac gives the blessing to Jacob. Let's finish with these last few verses. Genesis 27, 30 through 35. After Isaac finished blessing him and Jacob had scarcely left his father's presence, his brother Esau came in from hunting. He too prepared some tasty food and brought it to his father. Then he said to him, "My father, please sit up and eat some of my game so that you may give me your blessing." His father Isaac asked him, "Who are you?" "I am your son," he answered, "your firstborn Esau." Isaac trembled violently and said, "Who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me? I ate it just before you came and I blessed him, and indeed he will be blessed." When Esau heard his father's words, he burst out with a loud and bitter cry and said to his father, "Bless me too, my father." But he said, "Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing." People are messy. This is some tough stuff. Jacob stole his brother's blessing. His mom helped him do it. Esau is left with rage and hopelessness, and if we read further, hatred for his brother and what he did, which is understandable. Jacob chose to deceive. Why? One, because he was influenced by his mom. When we allow people to influence our lives that are not trusting on God, we can so easily get swayed by their decisions. And our own path gets blurry because of the influence we have let into our lives. And then secondly, Jacob chose to deceive because he took matters into his own hands. Man, how many of us are guilty of this? Taking control of things, taking matters into our own hands because it's easier, or because we lost trust in someone or something, or God. God told Rebecca the older would serve the younger, but not by deceiving and tricking people to make it happen. This is what brokenness looks like when we choose a path that God did not intend for us. So why do we choose to deceive or lie? It seems easy in the moment, right? If I just tell this white lie, I won't have to explain all of it. If I exaggerate a little bit, they'll feel bad for me. If I bend the truth, I can get my way and it won't be that bad. How does deception affect you? Whether it's a time that you have deceived someone or you are the one being deceived. Because of Jacob's own deception, he chooses to steal through deception. He flees from his family. He breaks relationships with people in his family. And for the people he hurts through his deception, they experience loss of relationship and loss of material blessings. You see, when you choose to deceive, you choose to lose more than just the truth. You lose integrity, you lose trust, you lose community, and you even separate yourself further from God. Here's the crazy thing though. God works through our decisions. He works through our free choices, both good and bad. The problem is that Jacob didn't give God a good choice to work with. It was a bad one, full of deceit and lies, and Jacob experienced many negative consequences through it all. He fled from his brother's anger. He experienced exile for 20 years, but through the hardship of those years, his character was shaped, and he became a man who could lead the tribes of Israel into their future. I just think God didn't want Jacob to go through all of that, to go through all this negative consequences of his actions, and he could have achieved it in a much different way that had more positive outcomes. But here we are with God giving us a choice, giving us free will to choose good, to choose what is right. And he doesn't take that away from us, even when we choose wrong, like Jacob did. What would it look like if we chose to not deceive? What would Jacob's life have looked like with his dad, with Esau, with his family? What would your life look like if you choose to always pursue honesty, to be real with people, to not lie your way through life or deceiving people to get what you want? We can't change the past, what we've done or what has been done to us, but we can choose to look forward. As my good friend Rafiki from The Lion King says,
yes, the past can hurt. But the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it.
Are you running from the truth? Are you running from broken relationships or living in exile because of your mistakes? Is it time to forgive someone or ask for forgiveness? Is it time to confront the deception that's happening in your life? You see, God desires a path for you that is free from brokenness and heartache and negative consequences, but He also desires for us to have free will and to have that will to choose truth, to choose honesty, love, and goodness over deceit, lies, and hatred. I shared with you in the beginning that I experienced some serious deception this past year that honestly I'm still working through. And I want to be even more honest with you, since we are in the nature of being honest right now. I have not forgiven the people in my life that caused me such insane heartache due to lying and deceitfulness that had happened. But I want to make a promise to you that I am working towards mending the broken relationships. It's not going to happen overnight. And if I know anything, God is faithful, and God is a healer to brokenness. We just have to be willing to acknowledge that it's there, and then go through the hard work of mending it back together. We can look ahead and remember stories like Jacob and avoid the past that will only bring us more pain and hurt. But also remember that God can use the good and the bad if we choose to let Him.